Hey again everyone, and welcome back to the channel for the next installment in our new figure showcase series, where we take a look at a new edition I've picked up for my collection. Most of the time it will be a newer figure, and for today's installment we're going to be looking at the latest release from Threezero's ongoing Stranger Things line. And we're getting another one of the kids, Will Byers. So I also should note, the reason I'm getting this so quickly is because I ordered direct from Threezero, which is the same thing that happened with their Rambo 2 figure, so just a heads up if you're interested in picking these up, that they do ship quickly directly from the company, which kind of makes sense, right? And just to give you an example, I ordered Will Byers from Threezero, and I also ordered Mike from Sideshow, and I think both of these are actually starting to ship from Threezero, but I haven't gotten my notification from Sideshow yet, so just giving you kind of a little point of view on those. So it's been a while since we got a Stranger Things release, although they have put up a couple of figures for pre-order, including Sheriff Hopper and then Vecna from Stranger Things Season 4, and they are teasing an Eddie Munson from Season 4 as well. So the line seems to have legs to it, although I do think interest has waned a little, although I'm sure it'll pick up once Season 5 drops. But we're talking about Season 1 Will Byers here. So look, he's a vital part of that first season, with his disappearance being one of the main catalysts of the show and the story, with serious repercussions following through in Season 2 as well. So for me, having the other kids, it was kind of a no-brainer to pick him up. And I will say that this is going to be a shorter review just because there's not much to go over. And I think that's evident as we take a look at what we're getting here. You'll notice he's a pretty basic release without much included. He does have a walkie-talkie, a backpack, a pencil, and a drawing of the Mind Flayer, and he does include a rifle, and that's it. His watch is already pre-installed, so one less thing to look at, but beyond that, nothing else. In typical Threezero fashion, we don't get a stand, and a pet peeve of mine with these, we also don't get additional pegs for the hands, just in case something breaks. Almost every other company gives us spares, and Threezero does give us extras with their Rambos, but for this line, they never include it, so just be careful when posing. Now, looking more closely at the accessories, one thing he does have an abundance of are spare hands. So you can see some of them already pre-posed to hold specific pieces like the walkie-talkie, and he does have specific right and left hands for that. He also includes a hand design to hold the pencil, which is pretty cool. The one thing that is interesting is there's not much detail to them. I guess that makes sense for the kind of figure this is, but I almost feel like we got slightly more detailing from the previous releases in the line. But not bad overall, right? These are serviceable. Next up, you do get the walkie-talkie, and look, it's nothing crazy, and it's identical to what we saw with the other figures in the line. It's serviceable again, basically a stocky piece that has some minor detailing on the surface, with a nice silver wash around the edges and the antennas, and then it has a strap on the back that slides over the appropriate hands to let you really secure it for posing. It's all good, just nothing crazy. Next up is the rifle. As an accessory, it's pretty decent, with some nice paint apps on the body to give you that simulated wood grain look, and it does have some nice gold accents on the bolt and other portions of the rifle. Again, looks decent. Threezero does have a good track record with weapons, so not surprising here. As far as using it with Will, I think he grabs this in one scene in particular, so if you're looking to recreate a scene specific look, you can do that here, but it's not something that I'm leaning towards using. If anything, I might save it for the Hopper figure. So now you get some accessories that I'm really excited about. I don't know that that'll hold true for everyone. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a pencil and a piece of paper with a drawing on it, but the importance is more what's on the drawing itself, which, if you're a fan of the show, you know what it is, and you know the pivotal role that this plays in the series pre-Vecna. So when I think Will Byers, this is what I think about more. Now, the pencil isn't anything crazy, right? I'm not going to tell you it's the most detailed accessory, because it's not. And the drawing is just a reprint of what we saw on screen, but it looks really good. And then the final accessory is his backpack. This one is a little more simple as some of the other ones we've gotten, but it looks good with some nice detail, functional zippers, and just for the scale, it's pretty nicely done overall. And that's pretty much it. So now let's jump into the figure itself, and we're going to start with the sculpt. And look, it's okay. If you look at the sculpt, it definitely looks like Will Byers, but it's not at the same level as what we've seen from other companies, which is a little surprising as well when you see the high bar that Threezero set for themselves with their Rambo figures. And even with this Stranger Things line, that original 11 release was actually a pretty stunning sculpt, so this does seem like a bit of a downgrade. Now, with this line, I do also have to say I can't really compare it against Hot Toys or even InArt, considering this is coming in for less than half the cost of those figures. So it's not at all an expensive release, and I think measured on that scale, it's okay. The eyes look good, though the paint app isn't as realistic looking as some prior releases, again, even comparing just to Threezero. So overall thoughts are Unfortunately, I wish I could tell you I was more excited, but it's just okay. I'm not expecting something incredible. It just does the job, right, in terms of giving us a figure for this character. The rest of the figure is also pretty simple. Highlight for Will has to be the vest. It's got the nice red and yellow color scheme to it with some functional pockets and zippers, and overall great tailoring. The rest of the clothes are equally impressive. I like the shirt and the material they chose as well as the material for the jeans. And just like with other figures in the line, the sneakers look great, having some nice detail work on them, and at the same time including some decent weathering and dirt, right? On top of that, it's all done on a smaller body. I think at this point Threezero has to be credited for the tailoring they're doing on this slightly smaller scale and how it really looks good. So look, overall thoughts on this, I am happy with the release. It's not going to win figure of the year by far, by any means, right? Sculpt isn't as detailed as others we've seen. The accessories are minimal, and even though it's a smaller size 6-scale figure, which is kind of an achievement, it's very basic. So it goes back to my comments when I look at, say, X06 releases or some third-party figures of characters from movies that are essentially just people in normal everyday clothing. These aren't figures that someone just casually scrolling through Sideshow or a figure site are immediately going to jump at and say, this is something that I must have and I'm going to spend some money on. But if you're a big fan of the properties they're based on, then having this set might be for you. For me, I love Stranger Things. The first and second seasons were incredible, and I remember watching and having that nostalgic feeling of watching kind of some great 80s movies like The Goonies going on some crazy adventures. It helps that the story's pretty gripping, acting's incredible, and the production is just top-notch. It's something that, funnily enough, I thought it's going to be more of a kids show at first, and quickly switch gears to one of the best shows I watched. And that, of course, is just my opinion. But it gives you a little insight into why I'm getting this line. Now look, the other thing that I think I have to say, this is a line I think that is really going to come to life as a function of the whole. Each figure by itself isn't the most exciting, but when you have all the kids assembled together with Demogorgon and with Hopper and whatever other characters Threezero releases, I think that's where the line is really going to shine. Very similar to some of the Star Trek crews from X06. So I think if you're a fan of the show, this is going to be an appealing line for fans and an appealing release. If you're not, probably something you'll skip over. So it's a decent figure for the cost, but just okay. And it's more of a figure that I needed to continue completing this line. So let me know your thoughts on this one, and as always, thanks for watching for a bit, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider dropping a like, comment, or subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.